Hello YouTube, this is Geeky Austin, and today we are going to take a look at the NECA 12-inch head-to-tail burning Godzilla. This Godzilla figure stands at about 6 1/4 inches tall. And here he is with two other NECA Godzilla figures, the 12-inch head-to-tail GMK Atomic Blast variant, and the NECA 12-inch head-to-tail Godzilla 1984. And also, here he is with another Burning Godzilla, the Bandai Creation 2012 re-release Burning Godzilla. And here he is basically with the same mold and counterpart, the NECA 12-inch head-to-tail 1994 Godzilla. And pretty much when I say new mold and counterpart, that is exactly what I mean. All that NECA did for this release of Godzilla right here is they took this original 1994 mold and remolded it in a translucent vinyl that is pretty much very see-through in these burning sections, then just painted over it with this nice dark coat right here. And the only differences besides that is that for this release of Godzilla, he is washed up in a very light bluish-green tint throughout his entire body on several different sections, which might seem a bit odd, but in the certain lighting and all, it really does add a lot of pop and value to the figure. But yeah, the main difference between the two, this one here is pretty much in a solid black coloring all across the figure, while this one has, like I said, bluish-green hints all across it. And of course that, and the spines are also painted differently. This one here with the traditional Godzilla style look on the dorsal fins with the blacks in the center and all the way up towards the whites to the grays. While this one here is done same way in the translucent vinyl with black in the center. And beside that, that's just about the only differences. The eyes are just about the same. It's a little darker on Burning Godzilla. The mouths are exactly the same on the insides as well. There's pretty much about no difference between the mouths. They're both painted just about the same. The nails are sadly still the same downgrade that 94 Godzilla has, which is, for whatever reason, they're done in the same bluish green tint as well, instead of being a dull yellow bone color, which is what they should be. So a little disappointing. And other than that, like I said, that's just about it when it comes to comparing these two figures. The articulation is pretty much the same. I feel that it's a little better on this guy, but all in all, if you already got this figure and you don't really want a Burning Godzilla, then there's not much need of getting this guy, because if you already have this guy. Alright, and as for detail, pretty much the detail on this guy is really good. That's one thing about these NECA figures that I do like. Even if some of the proportions may not be perfect or likenesses may not be perfect, they definitely thrive when it comes to putting detail on these figures. Which is something also that I felt the same way for with the GMK Godzilla that I reviewed a couple of months ago. Same thing. All the details are very nice. All the nice little ridges and bumps across his body are very good. There's a nice little diamond-like pattern across his belly. I'm not sure that's 100% accurate to the suit, but it does look good on this figure. The nice ridges of his dorsal fins all the way up to the top of his head look really good. The nice little attention to detail on his head, I really do like. And from the front, let me see if I can get a better shot of that. And from the front, I really do feel that this profile right here is directly from the front is pretty much very accurate to the way the Godzilla looks in the movie. I feel like they really did nail the look of the face from the front, but then when you get to other angles, it looks just a tad off depending on how you look at the figure. So again, not one of the better looks on the face, but it's still not bad depending on how you pose them and where you look from them at. And the same thing, the feet look really good. His hands are not too bad. I don't think they look that off either. And the dorsal fins on the back are all nicely detailed as well, all across here. Nice little even pattern. And all the way up to the tail. Doesn't look bad at all. About the only downside of this figure is with basically all the NECA Godzilla figures. The tail is too short. The tail should at least come out about this long on this Godzilla, I'd say. Somewhere around here. And as for the paint job, I basically mentioned everything when I was comparing it to the 94 figure. But again, the entire figure is done in a very nice black wash all across the body. The mold again is a translucent orange plastic vinyl that is see-through and can light up under certain lightings, which is very fun under the camera. It is a lot of fun to try to get results out of that. But yeah, throughout the entire figure it is done this way all the way up to here. And from the tail onwards, I feel that they basically just... Oh, okay, that's cute. I feel like they basically just took the 94 Godzilla's tail and just remolded it in this dark black here and just painted the spines on. I don't believe that this plastic is translucent, actually. I can verify that right now that I accidentally popped a tail off. Hard to tell under the lighting, but I do see hints of orange on the inside, so it might be true that this is translucent as well, but I'm not going to confirm it because I'm not 100% sure, and that's about right that I had to pop off. But okay, ignoring that little flop, the feet once again are not bad. Again, the toes, as I stated on the 94 review, are also done in a bluish green wash, which I do not understand. That's one of the main things about the paint job that I really don't like. The claws should not be blue for whatever reason they are on this figure, just like the 94 one. And again, just trying to go back to the back here. The spines, since they're translucent, they just got these little black spots right here all across them to make it look like the way they're supposed to. Trying to mimic the way it looked like in the movie, but I feel they done a little bit of a lazy job here. Just about every other NECA Godzilla figure released, they would try to blend in this paint onto the spines right here way better, with adding different layers of grays and silvers and everything to help make them pop. But for this one here, I feel like they just lazily just took a black paintbrush and just smeared these on every single one. That's just what it looks like to me. I just wish they did a better job there. And again, for the rest of the tail, this here is done just a little bit better. Not as bad, like I said, compared to up here. But yeah, it's done the traditional white style, which is accurate to the suit. For whatever reason, on Burning Godzilla, the orange and red spines all stop right here at the tail, and it turns back into a regular tail right here at the end. Like I said, the eyes are done in a nice red and orange tint right there with a yellow iris like Burning Godzilla is supposed to have. It's not too bad looking. I wish that they went with some brighter colors though, because it's a little bit dark, and one of the main features of Burning Godzilla that was always pretty cool was how glowing red his eyes were, so I kind of wish they kept that up. And mentioned before, with the 94 Godzilla, the paint job is very similar to each other, but yeah, the teeth are not done badly. There's not much smearing on them. It's all nicely done. And same as his tongue, and they also added a little bit of a gloss effect all over the tongue to make it look wet, which is something that's really nice for them to do. And the same goes for the inside of the mouth. All the back rolls, or inner rolls of teeth right there are all nicely done and painted. So yeah, the mouth area is definitely the best job work on the entire paint department, which is kind of weird because that's a spot that most people wouldn't look on this figure. And as for just how the burn patches came out, I feel overall on the front, when looking from the front, it doesn't look bad at all if you ignore the neck. And same down here. Down here on the abdomen and the legs, I think the burn patches look really good. Though they're not 100% accurate. All this crazy design right here is not accurate to the suit. And like I said, the neck is the worst area of all, because literally Burning Godzilla's got like maybe one little burn patch going across here and one going across here and all, but there's not all this weird designing going across the back of the neck. So that's a bit of a downside. And the other downside is that for the spines right here on the back, they did not bother filling in the gaps in between each individual spine, so it looks really cheap right there. And as I mentioned before, because the entire figure is done in this translucent vinyl, with the right type of lighting effects, whatever you want to try to use, you can make certain sections of his body pop out and glow. If you just play around with a light source of some sort, you could probably get a special lamp made that can pretty much locate all these spots, and you can get some very awesome pictures with this technique. Okay, and on to the articulation. Once again, if you have the NECA 94 Godzilla, it is exactly the same, though I think this one is way more limited. The head is on a ball joint that can go down about that far, not a whole lot, and can't really go up a whole lot. It's very limited on mine. I don't know if it's on anyone else's, but my 94 Godzilla figure, let me just show a quick comparison on that part. I can get his head to go down a lot more, and I can really get it to go up a lot better as well. Though it comes with that issue right there. That might be why. And as for the next joints, the jaw is on a hinge, which can open up about that far right there. And again, when looking down, you can only get his jaw to open about that much, because this bit right here on the neck right here, it gets into the way of this joint and causes it not to really want to open. A bit of a downer. And the head can move side to side a bit as well, just a little bit, and you can get it to basically rotate all the way around. And for the neck, it's on the same thing as on a ball joint, with this section of the neck right here just being a loose tube basically to cover up the joints. And you can get him to look down about that far right there, up that much, and from side to side about like that much right there. And of course you can get that to rotate all the way around as well. And then we move on to the next joints. We got right here on the shoulders, we got ball joints there, which can move up about that far, down that much. You can get it to rotate all the way around as well, and can't really go in and out too well, because again it gets hindered by all the vinyl right here. So a little bit limited, but you can get a little bit out of it. And again, this is where another spot where I feel the 94 figure is better. Right here, for whatever reason, they also added a hinge joint right here in between these two spots, which would allow the arms to move back and forth just ever slightly, I guess, just to give a little bit more posability into the arms. I'm assuming that's what their idea was. It's a little bit better on this one. But again, I feel that it's a lot better on the 94 Godzilla in that respect, because I can get these joints to move out very far from each other. Something that I wish that Burning Godzilla could actually do, but it could just be my Burning Godzilla figure, but I feel that the articulation is a bit limited in some areas, and that's the main one that I noticed so far. And you probably already noticed the arms are on a ball hinge, which can rotate all the way around and can hinge out that far right there and can go in about that much, which again is a disappointment, because when it comes to traditional Godzilla posing, he usually has his arms about up this high, and you can't really get his arms to go up that high. So a little disappointing, but not too bad. You can still get him in traditional Godzilla poses. It just doesn't look as classic without his arms coming up a little bit more. And then on to the next one, we got a ball joint right here in the torso, which will allow you to, pretty much you can rotate this all the way around, and you can go up about that much, down that far, and from side to side you can get a little bit of side to side movement and all. And I do feel that it's also on a double hinge system, so you can actually shift up his body so he can stand up straighter, or shift it down so he can lean as well. And now we get to the part of the articulation, which for my figure sadly is where this figure's downfall is, and that's the legs. Right out of the package, the legs on this guy were very, very loose. And when I was trying to move these ball joints in this leg right here and this leg, I loosened them even further. So now they'll just go wild basically. Godzilla can go wild on these joints now. And it's a little bit of a disappointment, but oh well, what can you do? But yeah, it's on two different ball joint systems in here. One plugs into the torso, one into the leg, so you can rotate it all the way around, and depending again on how much of a fuss you get out of this, like I had to, you can splay his leg out about that far and in that much. And you've got to be careful because it will add some of these ugly little seams right here, depending on how you do it. And pretty much, again, with that rotating system, you can get his leg to kick up about that far and back that much. And then next down, we got a hinge system right here on his leg, which on mine is incredibly, incredibly stiff. But yeah, you can get him to go back about that far on his leg and forward pretty much that far right there. Very, very limited, and on mine incredibly stiff. And then finally for the legs, we got a ball joint right there in the foot, which can allow you to turn his foot all the way around, and depending on how well it is, you can get a little bit of ankle rocker movement and up and down movement. While on this foot here, I can't really get any kind of movement other than just side to side. And finally, we got the tail. On the tail, there's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 ball joints on him, while from here all the way up, again, is a bendy wire tail that you got to plug in, as you saw earlier when it decided to fall off. And with this right here, you can get a little bit of ball joint movement and posability out of them. Even from side to side, you can get about that much, and in the other direction like that right there. Again, not absolutely perfect, but for just simple posing, you can get a little bit. It's not Monster Arts level of craziness that they've come up with these days, but it's still not bad. And again, the tail is a bendy wire, which allows you to pretty much pose this in however way you want. But again, as a bendy wire, you got to be extremely careful, because if you use it too much, it will potentially break, or even break through the mold right here, exposing the wire. So you got to be very, very careful when messing with bendy wire tails. And pretty much that is it on the articulation. Okay, so overall, this is not a bad figure. For a $20 figure, this is what you get, and what you get isn't really that bad. The articulation on it, again, I feel is better on the 94 Godzilla, but it's still pretty impressive. And the paint job, again, is a very mixed bag with things that I like and things I don't like. And the detail is fantastic, as always, with the only issue being the short tail. So I would say that if you cannot afford getting an SH Monster Arts Burning Godzilla or anything else, this would be the best one to get when it comes to an articulated one. And as for just a re-release in general, I can't really say if this is an improvement over the original, because I don't own the original NECA Burning Godzilla. But still, it's not a bad figure. I am very happy to own it, and it's a figure that has slowly grown on me. Because when I first got it, I was very disappointed because of the loose joints here and the legs and everything. But like I said, it has slowly grown on me, and it's now, I think it's one of my favorite NECA Godzilla figures. So anyways, again, I would only recommend this if you don't have a Burning Godzilla figure and you would really love to have one. Other than that, I honestly feel that you could probably skip this and just get the 94 Godzilla instead, but that's just my personal feelings. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching. This has been Geeky Austin.